Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are embarking on a totally vibrant, chromatic journey across a vast land of dynamic extremes. We're going to be looking at some of the most iconic and colorful landmarks in the United States, highlighting the incredible geographical and cultural diversity that defines it. Because honestly, the US is a place so incredibly diverse that simply crossing a state border can literally feel like you've stepped into a totally new country. From the rules of the road to the local flavors, the shifting landscape shapes entirely different ways of life. I mean, just look at the sheer geographical contradictions here. On one hand, you've got the majestic, ancient glaciers of Alaska, freezing, massive, and totally silent. And then, on the exact opposite end of the spectrum, you have the fiery, sun-baked desert expanses of Arizona. But here's the thing, this isn't just about pretty scenery. This sweeping environmental diversity directly fuels America's profoundly rich cultural mosaic. The land literally dictates the lifestyle. And because of all this vastness, the U.S. is, as our source calls it, a land of apparent contradictions. It's a society full of fascinating social contrasts. Think about it. You can legally drive a multi-ton vehicle at 16, but you have to wait until you're 21 to grab a beer. It's a nation with something like 120 guns for every 100 people, yet a massive 25% of the population dedicates their free time to volunteering, stepping up to compensate for a limited welfare state. So what does this all mean? Well, the crucial takeaway is that this staggering variety, both in the physical landscape and the culture, breeds a very specific kind of energy. Get this, Americans move an average of 12 times in their lives. 12 times! This vast, diverse landscape inspires a restless, dynamic search for new opportunities. It's exactly what makes the nation the absolute leader in new business creation among developed countries. Failure isn't a badge of shame here. It's just a stepping stone. Okay, let's dive right into this. Neon metropolises, the vibrant cultural heartbeats of America. Let's see how this restless energy shapes totally different coastal cities. Take Miami and New Orleans. These are two iconic southern metropolises that literally could not be more different. Miami is this absolute explosion of bright colors framed by the 1920s Art Deco neon of South Beach, the Caribbean flavors of Little Havana, and those vivid street murals over in Wynwood. It's like a giant outdoor stage of luxury and Latin music. But contrast that with the heavy, humid, history-laden air of New Orleans. Down there, the bright neon of Bourbon Street meets ancient wrought iron balconies and cobblestones. It's a city where reality and magic kind of blend together, where improvised jazz floats over the Mississippi River, and centuries-old voodoo rituals are still a thing right alongside above-ground cemeteries. And of course, we have the true neon giants. New York City, the ultimate global melting pot of culture and business, the city that never sleeps. Then there's Las Vegas, a lavish, glowing oasis of entertainment just rising right out of the dry Nevada desert. And Chicago, the Windy City, where these massive, futuristic skyscrapers like the Willis Tower reflect beautifully in the iconic emerald green waters of the Chicago River. Every single one uses its environment to build a massive, distinct cultural identity. But hey, what happens when we leave the glow of those big cities and venture out into the quiet? Where exactly does the old American West meet modern spirituality? The fiery red deserts, spiritual energy, and ancient geology. A perfect example of this is Sedona, Arizona. At dawn and dusk, the towering rocks there literally glow a fiery red against the deep blue sky. It's breathtaking, and it's a place that draws people from all over the world who believe the canyons hide these hidden healing energy vortexes. It's where the rugged old American West seamlessly meets this modern search for peace and enlightenment. To put the sheer, incomprehensible scale of this desert geology into perspective, 2,000. In Utah's Arches National Park alone, there are over 2,000 natural sandstone arches bursting from the earth like giant sculptures. Features like the delicate arch and the incredibly long landscape arch tell millions of years of geological history, and they are painted in the most brilliant shades of orange and red by the sun. And then, wow, there is Monument Valley. Nestled right between Arizona and Utah, this is a sacred Navajo site defined by a deep, absolute silence. Literally, the only thing breaking the quiet is the wind that's been blowing through those rocks for thousands of years. The visual drama here is intense. At dawn, the enormous rocks turn fiery red, and at sunset, the whole sky shifts to a deep purple. It's a micro-narrative of nature's grandeur that is guaranteed to make you feel incredibly small. The whole Southwest is just packed with these colorful geological wonders sculpted entirely by wind, water, and time. Take the wave, where layers of red, yellow, and orange sandstone ripple so hypnotically that you actually need a strict daily permit just to go see it. Or Antelope Canyon, a narrow slot canyon where piercing sunbeams illuminate the orange sand, which is best experienced through Navajo-guided tours, by the way. And obviously, the Grand Canyon. It's an awe-inspiring open-air museum of rock layers that practically sets the sky ablaze at sunset. So, okay, we've seen the buzzing neon cities and the bone-dry red deserts, but it begs the question, how do lush, vibrant environments shape the human soul?
Lush greens and Pacific blues, from tropical archipelagos to coastal rainforests. Now, what's really interesting about this is how the vibe completely shifts. Now, nowhere is this green and blue vibe more vibrant than the Hawaiian archipelago. It's a tropical paradise where every single island has its own distinct personality. You've got Oahu's modern skyline meeting the deep history of Pearl Harbor. You've got Maui's unforgettable sunrises viewed right from the Halakala volcano crater. Then there's Kauai, known as the Garden Isle, featuring the breathtaking green cliffs of the Na'apala coast dropping straight into the blue sea. And the Big Island, a wild land of active volcanoes and beaches made of golden, black, and even green sand. It's an absolute masterclass in tropical diversity. But this deep connection to the water totally continues back on the mainland, too. Look at California's Big Sur. It's a spectacular stretch of coast where the Santa Lucia Mountains plunge dramatically right into the Pacific Ocean. As our source beautifully describes it, Big Sur is a soul-touching experience, a place where nature's majesty reveals itself in all its power. With iconic bridges, hidden beaches, and natural cathedrals made out of giant sequoias, it has inspired spiritual seekers and artists for decades. But let's be real, the Pacific Coast isn't all sunshine and surfboards. If we juxtapose the tropical warmth of Hawaii with Washington State's Olympic National Park, we see a totally different kind of green. Olympic is a magical, moody puzzle of environments. Fog completely envelops these giant, ancient trees and temperate rainforests, while massive Roosevelt elk just stroll through the wildflower meadows. You've got wild beaches battered by waves, guarded by these large rocks jutting out of the sea like ancient sentinels. All right, moving on to our last extreme, icy frontiers and alpine peaks, the raw, untamed elements of the extremes. You really can't talk about icy frontiers without talking about Alaska, America's true last frontier. This is a land of pure superlatives. It's home to Denali, the highest peak in North America, and millennial glaciers like Mendenhall plunging into these spectacular fjords. And the contrast between seasons here, extreme. Summers are illuminated by the surreal midnight sun, while winters are dominated by the dancing northern lights in the Arctic sky. And throughout all of this, Native communities preserve ancient traditions, which are beautifully visible in the totems dotting the rainforest. Now, moving down into the Rocky Mountains region, we run into the raw, explosive power of the Earth. 164. That is the number of feet into the air that the Old Faithful Geyser in Yellowstone National Park regularly erupts boiling water. These alpine and frontier parks are just incredible living showcases of untamed elements. Up in Montana's Glacier National Park, the dawn light actually illuminates multicolored pebbles right beneath the glassy surface of Lake McDonald. Meanwhile, elk and bighorn sheep are roaming the alpine meadows of the Rockies along the Trail Ridge Road. And in Yellowstone, you have grizzly bears and bison sharing the landscape with the Grand Prismatic Spring, which literally radiates rainbow colors. But we have to remember, these pristine ecosystems and rapidly retreating glaciers serve as living reminders of nature's immense power and its incredible fragility. So, as we bring this explainer full circle, we really have to ask what this chromatic journey across these extreme biomes means. The essence of America is fundamentally tied to this geography, from the neon glow of the cities to the fiery red deserts, the lush green coasts, and the icy alpine peaks. This environmental diversity, these colorful, iconic landmarks, they reflect and shape the American spirit. They fuel that constant dynamic drive for innovation, movement, and reinvention we talked about right at the beginning. This whole journey really highlights our deep need to connect with these spaces. Our source material points to this beautiful Hawaiian concept called ohana. Now, while we usually just translate that as family, ohana actually extends way beyond blood ties. It includes the community, it includes visitors, and crucially, it includes nature itself. It's a powerful reminder of the deep, necessary connection between people and the spectacular, colorful landscapes they inhabit and must protect. We've explored how a country's extreme geography literally builds a nation's identity. But let's bring it down to you, to the individual level. I want to leave you with this final thought. Take a look at your own environment. How does the vast, diverse landscape around you, whether it's concrete, desert, coast, or mountains, shape the person you're becoming? Think about it. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep exploring.